kinds of walks of life that various members of families may, but it's unusual enough, share professions, shall we say. So it's rather interesting. On separate occasions in my broadcasting life, I've spoken to two priests, and at the time I didn't realise there was any connection. One was in connection with Ballycus Angel, Father Dan Breen. That was on Live Line a few years ago. And I've often spoken to Father Séan Breen, who happens to be my own parish priest, but also is better known as the man for the tips and the tipster, who had a very good bit of luck this weekend. And the two of them are in studio with me this morning, and you're both very welcome indeed.
Thank you very much.
Very interesting to see how two would enter the religious life from the one family. Was it a very holy family?
There was religion in the home. It was a Sacred Heart picture. This is Dan speaking.
Yes.
In the kitchen, and we had the rosary, which reminded me of amongst women there when they'd be saying the rosary, and there was tittering and laughing during this. But there was religion, there was. We didn't read the Bible or anything like that. It was more devotional stuff. But there was religion in the house, yeah.
Right.
Was there, Sean?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
But, I mean, were you the kind of people that when your mother or your father said it's time now for the rosary, did you try to scatter out and say, oh, this is great?
I don't think there's any getting out of it if you were there. You knelt down all right, and you took your ticket.
Yeah.
But we were not, there was no levitation or anything, you know.
Right, Mass every morning?
We went to Lochderg every year as a matter of course. I thought it was something everybody did. My mother wouldn't have gone to Mass every morning, no, but she'd go for Lent and that kind of thing, and if she wanted something. She was my mother was an orphan. She came from Kiltyclogher in County Leitrim, and she came and served her time in a draper shop in Cavan Town, Sowdens, and she had to work in the kitchen. I think she had to pay 7 and 6 a week, like, to be trained as a millineress. And she had a beady view of life, but at the same time she had the faith, all right, and my father had it too.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you remember it as being a very holy upbringing, Sean? Say, by comparison with your neighbours?
No, I wouldn't say we were any different from our neighbours at all. It was a very happy household. Religion was part of it. It kind of fitted into, like, playtime and feeding time, and now it was religion time. There was no big deal about it. We just slotted in.
Right.
You did your slot.
I was talking to somebody the other day in a completely different context, and they were talking about the family rosary in their house, where somebody would start off and say, Hail Mary, full of grace. And then there was a kind of a competition to see when you could lash in with the Holy Mary, that you wouldn't get into trouble, but you'd get it over with very quickly.
For shortening it up a bit, yeah.
You didn't do that kind of thing.
I don't think so. We were up in the shadow of the cathedral in Cavan, because the cathedral was being built when I was growing up.
Yeah.
That was a huge thing when a young person at the time.
Right.
When there wasn't much communication, not much cars or anything. So you were around the old church, they called the cathedral, and this massive thing was going up. Hugh Leonard, I believe, described it as a Lego set somewhere. But it was one of those Romanesque things full of Carrara marble. But that was, it had an effect on us all, I think, you know.
Right. How many sisters, how many brothers?
2 sisters who are dead, Lord of mercy on them. Both died very recently and very suddenly. And 3 brothers. Well, sorry, forgot about you, Dan. 4 brothers.
Right.
2 of those are dead. We have 1 remaining brother. We better mention him. He's very sensitive. Kieran Breen. He's a businessman in Dublin.
Right. And he presumably doesn't get a look in with the pair of you, does he?
He has his own, every cripple has his own way of walking.
He wouldn't be amused at you calling him a cripple now, I'm telling you.
Well, I'm not, it's only a general. Go ahead, Daniel.
Tell me, why did you decide to become a priest? I'm going to start with you since you started first.
Okay, that's okay. It's very hard to describe that. But there were priests in and out of our house. But my mother didn't admire every priest equally. We had a cousin of hers, Father Tom McNiff, he said now. He was a secular priest in Kilmore-Dyce, and he used to come. And it was always a pleasant thing when he arrived. And he was fond of my mother. He was a cousin. He was a Leitrim man. And it was a very human thing. Somebody would be sent out for a drop of whiskey for him whenever he'd arrive. And you might get a half-crown. But it was a pleasant thing. But then there were other priests there my father used to complain a lot about. He was a second-level teacher, and he worked with priests, and some of them he didn't like, and he could be very rude about them. So it was they weren't all icons.
Right. But did you always want to be one?
I liked physics and chemistry. My father taught mathematics, physics and chemistry, and I loved the laboratory. And I envisioned myself as what I thought then was an industrial chemist. A lot of guys went for the priesthood then. And in the class we had, I was back there for the 50th anniversary of the Leaving Cert, 6 or 7 of them were priests.
Really?
Yeah, it was an extraordinary time, and it was the same in Killarney. I think I decided fairly early on I would, yeah.
How about you, Sean? Was it the same in your... Did you both go to the same school?
We went to St. Patrick's in Cavan.
Yeah.
St. Patrick's, it was known for short.
Yeah.
I wanted to do good in my life. And I wanted to save my soul. It was very black and white theology that time. But I suppose I was playing it very safe, saying that, well, you know, if you went into the priesthood, you'd do good, and presumably you'd save your soul. It was a good bit of a...
Insurance policy.
Yeah, well, no, the much maligned Archbishop McQuaid was a great help to me. He said to me, I asked him, I said, I'm worried about my vocation. And he said, look, he said, have you the desire to be a priest? I said, I have. He says, you have the intellectual ability. I was complimented to hear that coming from a man of his calibre. And he said, the authorities assure me of your moral suitability. So if I were you, he said, I'd go ahead and be a priest. And that gave me great confidence. And I made up my mind there and then. But it wasn't just because he said it. I'd been thinking about it. My brother Dan did affect me. It certainly was a great introduction to the priesthood to have seen him. I remember his first Mass very vividly. And I remember partaking of all the festivities afterwards. It certainly registered in my spiritual life. It registered his first Mass. I wasn't unduly influenced by him.
Right.
Actually, following him into Clonliffe, he was a bit of a rebel, I think, in Clonliffe, and I was kind of labelled when I went into Clonliffe as Dan Breen's brother, which I didn't like at all, because I didn't like being labelled, not because I didn't like being, it wasn't because I was Dan Breen's brother, but I didn't like being labelled at that early stage.
Right,
even.
yeah. I'm sure you didn't. I don't know if you ever get called Sean Breen's brother now, do you?
Well, I tried to get people to think of him as my older brother, you know. Yeah. But he got over that very early on, that label. I don't think there's any confusion now.
Did either of you say that you discussed it with McQuaid, did either of you ever have moments of regret about it?
I'd like to say something else. When Sean was talking, the Mass was a big thing then. And to be able to say Mass, that would have been a big motivation in my thing, the privilege to say Mass. But I did the Leaving Cert twice. I was a bit young. And John Kelly came down.
Wasn't that you failed the first one?
No. Canon Kelly came down and he came in on top of me. And I wasn't good enough for Kilmore. You had to be very good to get into a country diocese at that time. So Dublin took in a lot of refugees from Killarney and Longford and everywhere. And this guy arrived down. He was Canon Kelly, or he was the president of Clonliffe College. And I was interviewed. And I said, why do you want to come over? And I said some of the, like Sean said, want to do good. He said, that's not a good reason, but don't worry, I never got the right reason yet, ever. He said, the reason because he was a black and white guy, he said, the reason you want to become a priest is because you think it's God's will for you. But the same man in later life as parish priest of Corpus Christi, somebody said to him, his aunt had died, and he said, one Dublin woman said to him, I see you buried your poor aunt, Canon. We had to, he said, she died. Like, he was a matter-of-fact type of guy.
Right. Did you ever query your own decision? Did you ever have second thoughts and say, maybe this was the wrong way to go?
I had low times and bad times. I never questioned it, but I often questioned the mess I was making of it. The quality of my priesthood, you know. When your prayer life wouldn't be good, then it's never right. Yeah, that would be... The quality of it's not that, I know it doesn't depend on the person, but you have to let the Holy Spirit work, and if you don't, be quiet, well then your prayer life goes down. That would be my biggest problem, yeah.
How about you, Sean?
Yeah, there were highs and lows, yeah. But I met great people along the way, kept me going. I met great priests. I was in the Ballymun Flats for 8 years. I met a great guy there called Dan Scannell, Lord of mercy on him. He, when I'd be low, he was the guy who kept me going. You know, he always said to me I had a great charisma, I had a great gift of communication, and that I would do a lot of good. And to stick with the bad times.
Right.
And then, of course, when I looked at the apostles, the way they behaved, You know, our Lord handpicked these fellas, you know.
Two brothers, two sets of brothers.
Yeah, two sets of brothers, you know. The sons of Zebedee. He was always the scholar, this fella, you know. See this, he's doing it for the honor.
Don't mind
James
that.
and John. And then Peter and Andrew were brothers. I meant to say that to you initially, but he's talking all the time. I can't get a word in at all. But it was people kept me going. It wasn't that formation, but I met great people along the way. Brendan Grace, great pal of mine. Through Grace I met Sinatra. And Sinatra saying to me, you know, go up in the dressing room in London with him and saying, looking at me with the big blue eyes, and God, he had blue eyes. And he said, Father, he says, you pray for me, he says, every night. And I mean every night. Because I'm in need of a lot of forgiveness. You know, so that was nice.
Yeah.
And the spiritual side of it, I mean, how much work does that take?
Well, you see, the spiritual and the human, they're not divorced at all. We were just talking about this last night, actually, Dan, myself. You see, that the supernatural builds on the natural. You have a few Latin tags there.
Yeah, I'm not going to bore you. Gratia non tollit et perfectit naturum. Nature doesn't, grace doesn't take away nature, it builds on it. In other words, sanity is a definite prerequisite of sanctity. It doesn't mean if you're mad you can't be holy. No, that's pure Thomism, you know. Most people ought to know, but sometimes Aquinas, he was counting the number of angels down to the pin of a needle, and they know no more about it, and they read and Reader's Digest, you know.
Well, I think if you're truly human, really human, in the best sense of that word, that you are spiritual.
Do you put a lot of effort, say, into preparing your sermons?
Do I, or does that?
You first, Sean.
I do. I get the text on a Monday morning and I read it, the gospel, and I kind of put it in the washing machine. It goes around in there in your head. And then sometimes you're desperate. You come maybe to Saturday morning and you might have, nothing has happened. And then you become a bit desperate. And it doesn't always work. It works most of the time. I will work hard and pray a bit about it. But it seems to happen. I try and keep it short, you know, like the mini skirt, you know, short enough to be interesting and long enough to cover the essentials. And you get it, you know, people I think are very tolerant and very kind. But I do work at it, I do work at it. And the ones you think that are successful or not. Sometimes I'd say, I thought I would have given a good sermon. And somebody would come up and he'd say, that was a desperate sermon.
Would they come up to you?
I would, some of them would.
Would they?
And then the opposite would happen as well.
I mean, obviously, since I have heard you since I'm in the parish, you take a very unusual attitude in, say, thanking people for the courtesy of listening to you. That's not very typical.
Well, I think that's nice, to be nice to people, and not just the cliche. I think people have remarked on that. And when I forget it, people say, why weren't you thanking us this morning? Sometimes you just forget it. You know, when you be excited about something.
Well, I suppose it's different to the image of somebody haranguing you from the pulpit. But do you put a lot of work in, Dan?
I do, sometimes more than others, you know, depends on what your social life and what you're at. And through the years, I mean, I might have been out a bit late 2 nights in the week. The old head wouldn't be good, you know, and therefore that militates against the preparation. I would, and I know when I've lost them. I could have lost them in 2 minutes, but I wind up pretty quick. You hear the movement, the shifting of the people. You know they're gone. I do, yeah, but not enough. But it's prayer. It's being quiet in your own oasis is the prerequisite. You have to be the monk in the city, you know, to preach. In other words, you have to have a prayer life to preach. It's not like working for a crowd selling bottles of water or something, you know. I don't work hard enough, but it's not so much the preparation as who you are in relationship to Almighty God. And if you're humble, I think, it's a very, very elusive thing. That I agree with everything Rashad said there. About
you don't have to, also.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
It'd be nice now.
I was going to say something and I've forgotten.
Oh, did I? That was
disturbs me.
Just on a practical level, say babies cry. When you talk about movement in the church, I have heard people really battling against sounds from the church.
Yeah.
Is that very disturbing?
It's not, but yeah, I've had that once or twice. They might bring out the child.
Yeah.
You can still hold them with the baby crying. I'd never give out about the child.
Right.
Oh, never. You can still know they're listening even though the child is kicking up a hell of a row.
What makes them listen?
The people.
Yeah.
Well, if it's prepared and you're saying something, only say one thing. But you have to keep it terribly simple. And you say, as a guy said in America years ago, what do you attribute to the success of your preaching? I tell them what I was going to tell them, then I tell them, and then I tell them what I told them. But you can do that.
Good rule for broadcasting,
yeah,
too.
it is, but you don't have to do it in an ignorant way. Oh, yeah, it has to be very simple and repetition. You can learn from people selling things, too, of course. They keep it very, very clear, and they're spending millions. But they keep the message very clear. If they're selling Coca-Cola and they've had a long time, you can learn from them.
Right, right.
But it's a different thing. It's not, there's no parallel, but, oh yeah.
Right. Anyway, I have to do a bit of selling now. Somebody was asking me if we were expensive. I hope we are very expensive. And we'll take a break.
Inspection unit of
Back to the programme, and I'm talking to the two fathers Breen, Father Dan Breen and Father Séan Breen. What about married priests, the fact that you didn't get the opportunity to be married and have kids when people figured that down the line it is going to happen? Does that niggle at you at all?
Talking to me?
Yeah?
Well, it's out of the question now, like, you know, I'm 70.
Yeah, but I presume that when you were 30 and 40 and 50...
yeah. A priest, a secular priest works with women all the time. All the time. So you're most of the time you're thrown with women of all ages, all right through. And naturally you will be attached to some more women more than others. You'll be emotionally a little bit here and there. You mightn't have told them, and they might suspect it. I never underestimate them.
But you're barred.
Oh yeah. But I mean, marriage, it's not an either or. You don't have to be married to know women. As somebody said years ago, half the fun is in the fooling about.
What do you mean by fooling about?
You can have a relationship with a woman and enjoy her company and her difference from you in her mind. I mean, you don't have to express yourself fully, physically, to know a woman. Now, I mean, it's come see, come that, yeah, sure. I was talking to a nun recently who, she's in the Granada thing for abuse and everything. And
yeah.
I said to you were in such a system, and she was thrown with priests and nuns were together in a system here in town, Dublin. Tell me about so-and-so, I said. And it was a sister and a priest, and they got married. I said, did they? And she looked at me, she said, well, they fell in love. It's not a sufficient reason for getting married, you know, just to fall in love. You'll fall out of it again, too.
Did you fall in love?
Several times, yeah, but I fell out of it again and fell in love somewhere else.
How about you, Sean?
I have a lot of friends, women. I'm very happy with women that compliment me, they make me feel good. Oh yeah, I've had very wonderful friendships with women, and they have sustained me in my good times. And I'd be dishonest to say that I want to have a relationship. I had plenty of relationships without being physical, and it was very stimulating, very helpful. I would find it difficult to be married and be a parent and be a priest. I think parenting is the vocation. It's a 24-hour job. You know all about it yourself, Marion. And I doubt if I could be a good married person and a good priest. I would find it a little bit of a conflict. Not because there's anything essentially wrong with either, but just the time element. But I mean, women, we meet women all the time in the church.
That's different, though.
And, oh yeah, it is, yeah. Well, I'm a normal guy. I would like to be married.
Yeah.
I took a package deal that it was priesthood. You couldn't have priesthood and marriage. I'm putting it rather crudely. It's not as black as white as that. But I knew that I couldn't be married if I was going to be a priest. And I'm happy in my priesthood. Yeah.
When you joined up, the pair of you now, it was a job, a way of life, a vocation that had enormous status. And all sorts of muck and skeletons have come out of cupboards in the meantime. Has that undermined your position, and do you feel that you're less respected now? You, Sean?
You have to be honest about that. Yes, the status of the priesthood would not be what it was, due to the way you put it very euphemistically. But still, there's the hardcore of believers who would affirm you and strengthen you and be with you. And yes, it's hard times. I had you can't very well wear your collar now in public very much.
Really?
I wouldn't go into a pub and have a drink with a collar on me now, because God knows what they'd say to you. How many children have you now, Father? It was said to me one night when I went into a pub. Yeah, it's difficult, but I have good strength. I get strength that must be from God, and I'm happy enough. I think the church is a very good church now at the moment. It's been cleansed, and I think people are there when they want to be there. There's less hypocrisy about. The people that want to be there are there.
How about you, Dan?
I'd agree with that. I would say I'm reading a little bit about Ireland in the 1800s, you know, and then right up to the 20s. It was at its worst, I'd say, in the 30s, when we got our freedom, you see. And a lot of bishops and priests thought they were really the Dáil Éireann. And it was, and a lot of them had brothers in the Civil War and everything. And they could pick up a phone. They can't do that anymore. No one can ring up Charlie McGravy and say, by the way, look, you know, that just doesn't
He
happen.
might be able to.
Well, yeah, another matter. But I saw all that with the Browns and the McEntees and all that stuff. I know, I'm fairly familiar with all that, but nobody knows about that now. That was a horrific time and a bad time. But they were really proud, and that hubris is a Greek word for pride. It's what destroys the gods, you know. Oh, I'm glad it's gone. It was unnatural. It was very bad. Yes, I didn't know that when I became a priest, but I'm more sensible. I'm nearly 70 now, and no, I think it's a wonder. I agree with Sean there. It's a cleansing time and a good time, and we'll come out of it all the better.
You think so?
Oh, I am sure it's that. I don't know how the way it's going to come. I'll be dead. You won't know for 20 years, but I'd like to have.
Well, you mightn't be. You know, you're only 70.
Yeah. No, Landers said to me one time, he had a pub in Avoca, and now that if 85 was in with him. And he said, I'd love to be young again, you know. And he says, what age would you like to be? He said, I'd love to be 70. He's a great age, he says. You're young enough to enjoy yourself, he says, and you get away with murder. Well,
That's where you are.
yeah.
You've not any real interest in the horses, have you?
I went racing over the years with fellas, but I went with people more than going to see horses. I enjoyed the punters. A lot of them are dead now for a variety of reasons. You could guess most of them. And some of them had to leave the country, and we won't go into that.
But you're giving racing a very bad name.
No, but there's a lot of people go there. Horrible, go ahead.
I tell you, yesterday I was remarking on the success of the Welshes and indeed John Ox on Saturday.
Yeah.
I didn't mention that Father Sean Breen had a little
I was
success.
very upset over that.
Were you? I'm
But
sorry
you're
about that.
forgiven, you're forgiven.
A listed race.
A listed race, and it was very funny, Marion. Our horse is a poor traveller, so we went over on the ferry with a trailer, horse trailer, and we left our horse in about an hour and a half from the racetrack. And then when we went to the races with our horse trailer, there was no other trailer there. They were all in the big posh horse boxes, and owners would travel in their Rolls Royces or whatever. But I'm travelling with the horse and my nephew, Donald Breen, who led up the horse. And we played the goms, like, which we're good at. You know, where did the horse boxes go now? Where did the trailers go? And very nice English fellas say, but they are now, you know. That's the place for the trailers. And then we said, where are the stables now? Where do you put your horse, like? And where's the canteen for the grooms? They were all looking at us like as if we were idiots, like. And then our lovely horse appeared, walked round the ring and all saying, lovely horse, isn't he? One man, man. Very nice horse. And then when the horse won, my God, I never saw the race. I couldn't watch it. I was so excited. I had to say to a fella, who won that race? And he said, oh, it's called 111. He said, won it? And I said, that's marvellous. I said, I must go and lead him in. I own it. In conjunction with 3 other guys. I must congratulate the guys. I didn't see them since. Finbar Cahill, Andy Madden, and a fella called John Clohessy. They're in the syndicate.
The Heavenly Syndicate.
The Heavenly Syndicate. They were very taken with that. But it was a fantastic buzz, and they treated us so well.
Can I just say before we go, because you have been very involved in the horse world and you're known very much for that, are you a kind of an unofficial chaplain within that world?
Yeah. And I think that, you know, I like to be ahead of the Brits, and the Brits have appointed a chaplain in Newmark. And I can't understand why the Irish Racing Authority don't have a chaplain. Because Kenparish has become really obsolete in the sense that people are now mobile. And,
Yeah,
you know, where you
moving
live,
around all the
Marion,
time.
people have a lot of choice at churches.
They go down to his parish a lot to get married these days, don't they, Ballycasage?
You have the odd one, but I don't want to Gretna Green. I marriage every day. I mean, and I'll tell you this, I was a long time in Dublin. I eat more rubber chicken and plastic ham than any priest in the known world.
Didn't do you a bit of harm. You look well in it.
Anyway, listen, it's lovely to talk to both of you, and you both seem to be so happy with your choices in life, which is nice in this day and age when you hear so many people who aren't. May I thank you both very much indeed, Father Dan Breen and Father Sean Breen.
Thank you, Marion.
Thank you,
Good
Mary.
morning.
Pleasure to be with you.